All right, well, thank you very much, President Dustman. Well, it is my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce our guest speakers and our space that we are in today. And the Creative Sanctuary is really an amazing part of our local community. The Sanctuary shares a lot of the ideals of Rotary, and that's one of the reasons that I was attracted to the Sanctuary and what the organization does in this community. And it's interesting how I got involved. I live up the street a couple blocks away, but that's not really originally how I got involved in it, because I was originally working on my first kinetic sculpture project, and I put an advertisement on Craigslist that I was looking for bike parts, and a few people would respond periodically, and one of them who responded was Solomon, and said, oh yeah, I got a whole bunch of bike parts and stuff, come on over, and what's his address, and he's like, da-da-da, it's on J Street, and it's like, oh man, it's like, you know, it's like really near where I live, you know, and it turns out it's the house next door, which is where they lived. And I met Solomon and Katie then, and he shows me his yard full of all kinds of interesting stuff and art projects and bikes and stuff that he made and books that he had. And he said, you know, if you ever need anything, just come on over, I'd be happy to share it with you. And that was really how I first got to meet him. It's like, oh, this guy's really cool. It's got the same sort of ideals I have. And then, maybe it was a few months later or something, I knew about this building here, which was a church. At least that's what I knew it as. And then I see Solomon, like out on working in the yard here, and it's like, oh, I started talking to him, and I found out that he and Katie, who owned the house next door, learned that this building was for sale. And the church was essentially closing up. And so Katie and Solomon leveraged themselves and bought the building with the intent of creating a community sort of art and culture and music space. And it's like, whoa, that's wild. In part, they didn't want this building getting, subdivided and turned into apartments or something like that. They saw that it was a central part of the community and wanted to build upon what it was and make it something better. So that as they're working on doing the renovations that were necessary for this building, they invited us to what they call Taco Tuesday, which is essentially a community potluck and gathering that happens most every Tuesday throughout the year. And so I started coming to Taco Tuesday, and people would, come here and gather and sit much like this, and depending on what food came in the door, that's what you had on your taco that night. And Katie and Solomon and others would make the tortillas, and people would bring fillings, and we'd all have a good time and sort of have a community gathering, and got to talking. And then Solomon asked me, gee, we got this board of directors, we would like, some other board members. Would you be willing to serve on a board of directors? And I said, I didn't ask my wife, of course, because I'd already been on other boards of directors. And I said, sure. And sort of following that over the last couple of years, have gotten to know them a lot better and the organization a lot better, and helping the organization move in the direction that we want to go, and personally making use of the facilities here. Our kinetic sculpture project, we silkscreen shirts and aprons and stuff, which we do in the lab next door. So my wife, she makes silkscreen and other stuff. And as you can see, you're surrounded by some really cool industrial sewing machines. You'll see other interesting stuff as well. So I've really enjoyed getting to know the people who come here. The people who have made this breakfast for you have all become friends of mine. They're dedicated to what the cause is here. And I just see that the Creative Sanctuary and Rotary share a lot of the same ideals in terms of both local and international building of goodwill, peace, and friendship as to what should a society and a community and a world be. And you'll learn from Katie and Solomon more about the history of the place, and also some of the really important projects where I think there could be a good partnership between our Rotary Club and the Sanctuary to help on a few really key important projects that I think would be great SWAT projects to make some important improvements actually to the building and the facility to make it more accessible to people in the community. So ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you our good friends and hosts and founders and visionaries, Katie and Solomon.
Well, thanks, Steve, and thanks everybody for coming. I really appreciate having you guys here, and seeing neighbors that walk up the street or down the street, depending on where you guys are from. But really appreciate you coming. And, you know, I'll just kind of elaborate on what Steve was saying about, you know, the building and things like that. It was also our intent to have a neighborhood asset, you know, and it was a neighborhood integrity thing. We moved into the blue house because the house came up for sale and it's adjacent to a really good friend, you know, and then another friend bought the house that's next door. And we're just really close with the neighbors. So it was a thing where, you know, we wanted to just build and, you know, build on our little neighborhood niche. And it's definitely happened. I mean, like the breakfast, you know, people were saying, you know, is this gonna be difficult making breakfast for 40 people? And I was really calm and relaxed because neighbors brought over food. Folks just came over last night and pitched in, and it was actually pretty easy, you know, because of just everybody pitching in. Originally, the building was the Arcata Women's Club. It was built in 1916, and the funds were publicly raised. So when we came inside the building, we realized how cool it was inside, like all the woodwork and everything. And we wanted to keep the usage, the General Assembly, because, I mean, going upstairs and seeing that room, it's like, you know, this is where many people meet. You know, this is not just a personal thing. And after Katie and I kind of ran it with also Chris's help, we created a nonprofit. And, you know, fortunately we had an attorney help as well as an accountant, and we're able to push the paperwork through. And you know, that's been a really fun process of like, you know, handing it over to a board, our original project and that kind of thing. It's been really meaningful. You want to talk about a little bit about what we do here?
Yeah, so we have a wide variety of different programming that we offer. The simpler ones are that we have music shows and art exhibition space upstairs, but also we do private rentals for a lot of different public and private events. And then in this downstairs space where you guys are, we have a lot of different making and repair facilities. We have a sewing room in here, and there's a print room that he mentioned. We have ceramics, bike repair, woodworking. The list kind of continues on there. But then every Saturday we're open with 2 lab techs. That's Abby over there. She's great lab techs. And so that you can bring your projects, and then people will assist you on, or not if you already know what you're doing. But someone will show you how to use the sewing machine, or those sort of things. And then we also have an artist in residence program where we have space that's dedicated to the resident. They make an application and then they're here for 1 month. And they do a project, an art project of some sort, or music, and they interact with the community. This month is Taylor Ann, who served you quiche. She's working on a really great puppet show that's upstairs, and there's some flowers over here for part of the process. And, this year was our first open call for the residency program, and we're already full for all the rest of the year with the waiting list, so it's been a really popular thing. And then our last art specific program is our CSA program, which is an art subscription. So you pay either for a half share or a full share, and then every month you get a piece of art either in the mail or you can come and pick it up. And that's a way, our organization is all volunteer currently, and so it makes an avenue for the people that use this space and the work and things to be able to have some income from their arts in the space. And let's see. Also in the music department we have lessons and group jams and stuff like that. We have a partnership with the Humboldt Folklife Society, and they gave us a grant to be able to offer a discounted rent to music teachers and dance teachers. And so that's kind of a fun program where we're providing the space and the opportunity for affordable rent for the teachers of that. And then also last year we set up the whole upstairs with all of the facilities for recording, so we can record albums upstairs. And there's actually a little merchandise zone. You can see there's a couple of albums that you can make the album here, and then they silk screen the covers here as well.
And then they sell them here.
And then they sell them here. And then we also have Taco Tuesday that we mentioned. And then can we talk about the donation dash?
Yeah, so Katie and I moved here 17 years ago when we were students, and we, it's a big fixture in our community, the HSU. One of the things that we used to do even before getting this building was we would go and look in the dumpsters up there at the end of school year, and it would be always full of great things, and we'd distribute things and take carloads out of there. But and that's just been an annual event that we used to do on our own. And then now, as a nonprofit, we've signed up with HSU to help with our waste offset, and we now divert like 40,000 pounds up there a year because our volunteer staff is much larger than when we would do it on our own. And then also just distribution is more efficient. We partner with the Arcata house, and they receive a lot of things like shampoos and detergents, a lot of the different things that they use in their like community shower, and then they also wash the clothing before they distribute it to the folks. So, and then cleaning supplies, a lot of cleaning supplies go to them. We take on a lot of open containered foods that the food bank can't take, so we do a lot of sorting is mostly what we're doing. Steve participated in it last year. But it's really fun. You know, we have open containers of like spaghetti or rice or different things that we end up boiling, so it ends up being sanitary, but it's just, we probably took on like over 4,000 pounds of food that we end up using. But then the distribution, that's where it comes into the 40,000 pound stuff.
It's also a project in sort of face-to-face education with the students, because during graduation weekend, it's often their first time of being away from home and having finals week, and then having to move out, and they'll be fined if they stay later than noon on Saturday. And so they just have to like pour everything into the trash. Sometimes they're getting on a bus, sometimes they're getting on a plane. You know, they like can't, you know, they can't take it. And so we have stations in front of the normal dumpster where they would just throw it all, and we're like, no, bring it to us, we're gonna sort it out, it's gonna go to places in the community, you know, like, it's kind of a way to like, you know, help them recognize that it's actually, you know,
Not just like,
you shouldn't just throw everything away, like, that's not a good system.
It turns into being like a donated resource, is what it ends up being, and it's just a matter of moving it around and distributing it and using it. You know, like we take on all the batteries that are getting recycled, and we go through the batteries and use them. And it's like the battery supply for the year, and it's like that. Yeah, so we also just do resource processing too, because not only are we artists, we're also kind of, we have this environmental angle of like trying to use something up until it's done, or if something else is like underutilized, then we try to take it on and clean it. Like our letter press is from the scrapyard, you know, and then we acquired that, and then we clean it up, and you know, most of the tools are donated and then just refurbished. You know. Yeah, but then
we started with a bunch of tools that were ours, and we just leased them to the organization at no cost. But
it's a thing
but
where
then as we've had the space, then more and more things have been done.
yeah, it's a thing that we really enjoy the tools, and we do have different projects. Like we work for the miner, and we'll sew like all their curtains. So having an industrial machine is really helpful when we're doing that, but we don't use them all the time. So then it's like, it makes more sense to share it, you know, and that's kind of where the Saturday open lab stuff comes in. You know, it's like, when you want to use a drill press, it's great to have one available, but you don't always use a drill press. But yeah, there's a bit of tools that are like that.
As far as where we're seeing it going is currently, Steve helped last year spearhead a strategic planning, adventure.
Positive spin.
It began this operations manual that we've been writing out and writing all of the processes of all of the different facets of every program so that it can make it, so we'll have a more clear organization for other volunteers to become involved or to think about not having to run and be the answer book or whatever for how to do things. You want to talk about putting
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, like part of the vision of these things is, you know, there's certain towns that I think of like Ashland, Oregon, you know, or Austin, Texas, and you just like quickly think about, you know, these like different features that, you know, why they're a draw or why we might visit those towns or spend the weekend, and I see that we're just like adding to the arts that are already really rich in Arcata, and I see that we're, you know, with our residency program, it's already seeming like we're kind of like an art magnet, you know, that we've got, you know, Del Arte, an international school, the Playhouse is an amazing fixture in the community. I mean, later today we're meeting with Jackie to collaborate on different things, so I see that we can just, I don't know, bring a lot of more wealth to the town through the arts, and, you know, public arts, and also just like, even, I'm also seeing that certain definitions for me have been broadening, you know, like what is art? Like the social practice stuff is also a really new art. You know, hosting these potlucks, you know, where we provide a tortilla, and that's kind of all we're providing, and then people just put a filling in it. You know, so like these culinary arts things too, like what does it mean to like sit down and share a meal with people? You know, like a lot of the things like you guys already do, you know. But, and even things like philanthropy, you know, that definition for me is broadening. And I guess it's more like the term that you guys use in service, you know, and that you don't actually have to be monetarily wealthy to be a philanthropist of sorts. It's really fun.
Well, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the thoughts on the building upgrades, the accessibility and so on?
Yeah, so, you know, the building was built before ADA compliance, things like that. And there's certain spaces like this downstairs is not ADA accessible. And things that are coming up for us is that we diversify the funding with renting out certain rooms to residents and also folks that use it as an office. But this room right here is opening up in the beginning of March, and there's an exterior door right through those doors. So we're going to include this room in the residency program, and then we plan on making a handicap accessible ramp that goes along the south side that would connect over to J Street. It's kind of like our flattest trajectory. It's a little tricky with all the different hills and slopes, and it causes a lot of stairways, but Steve brought over an architect, and we kind of walked around and made some different plans of you know, how to include more people. It's something like that 20% of the American population identify as disabled, so you know, including that group of people is really important to us.
And I think that's something we talked about. That may be something that could work well as a SWAT project with our club, because I think that we need some of the expertise that we can gather around Rotary to help with this, you know, getting the other people to help participate and some hands-on in getting this ramp built so we can actually, you know, have better accessibility to this space, because as he says, the only way to get here is by stairs right now. And then there's also like the idea of some accessible bathrooms, which
one of the bathrooms upstairs was made, it was ADA compliant at some point, you know, a long time ago. So it's, with a small amount of work, one of them could be, you know, another bar and a different toilet.
Do you have an idea of how many people in the community interact with your facility here in one way or another? Like numbers?
We have 800 people on our email list. Our Taco Tuesday thing that's every week is probably between 30 and 40 people every week. And those people are different than the people that come to music shows and the art openings.
So I think it could be like 150 people a week are coming.
There's also the sign-in book for using the facilities for the tools that are here. So this book that's on the table right there has people writing in how many hours they've been here, what tools they've been utilizing.
Where are the tools? We didn't,
We're gonna take a tour.
oh,
That'll
right
be
back,
part of the tour.
oh, just around here. Well, you kinda sound like, it almost sounded like we were talking.
Yeah.
Follow workshops in this room.
Question.
I have two questions, actually. One is, give us a better feeling for how you finance this place. I heard you
Okay,
rent some rooms.
so,
The other-
yeah, when we went upstairs first, it was, you know, it's really dreamy, it's got a stage. Oh, we had house shows, and we had attended different house shows. And, you know, immediately I just put it into, like a purchase agreement, you know, that I've got some real estate background, so. And then during the escrow process is when I started to try to figure out what I was gonna do with the place. Patrick Cleary came over in the beginning, you know, and we walked around and kind of checked out, and then we, you know, had the vision of the folk school, and we were working on that. Talking with the neighbors, you know, and getting letters of recommendation to the sellers, you know, just to like give them the confidence that we really were gonna be buying this building within the neighborhood. So all the neighbors were in the know, but it was, we rent out a couple rooms to like basically a long-term artist residence. So like our music director lives here. We're having a little bit of a transition in one of the rooms from our open lab director, and our gallery curator is moving out, and another person is moving in. And then this room we rent out to a woman who kind of uses it as her office space, or at least did. She hasn't been using it very much, and that's why she's moving out.
We
So,
also have gotten a number of different grants. We got one from the Tom and Stephanie Parrott Foundation and the Large Footprint Foundation grant. We're a fiscal sponsor for
Pacific
yeah,
Union.
Pacific Union Gardening Project, which we get a small amount from that. And then with the private rentals, there's a bit of regular ones. There's been different groups, like a mother's group, Girl Scouts, different support group, and different music meetups that have their private rentals, private lessons. And then things are starting to build, like the North Coast Environmental Center's costume making party for the All Species Parade is now an annual thing where they're renting out this space to make their costumes every year.
Like the Mad River Alliance rented our spot for their movie that they were showing on the Hill River. We're seeing that a bit of different nonprofits are renting our spot, so that, because they might not have a space for the public or showing a movie.
We also offer a discounted rate for nonprofits, and we've had, some nonprofits have had really successful fundraisers here.
Like Humboldt Mediation did really well here. The Yurok Tribe has done really well with their silent auctions and things here. So it's fun to be able to participate with the nonprofits by providing space. You know, that they already have their group that they're coming right from, some of the two details.
My other question was, to what extent is this a community center? Is it open to the public, or is it more events are scheduled kind of thing?
Well, the Taco Tuesday is definitely open to the public, and it's, I mean, it is scheduled as far as there's a time that people come. And then the Saturdays with our open lab, that's like a time that people can come and read the books or look at the records and things like that. So it's a time that it's just a drop-in for the public.
I think also like the Arcata Community Center, which is much more expensive to rent than this place, providing a space where things can happen is in itself a community act, even though you have to charge some rent to make it happen. Our prices are pretty reasonable. And yeah, we're really focusing on just building on the collaborations, because as you all know, this community is just rich with nonprofits, with people that are doing really interesting things in education, or like Big Brothers Big Sisters. I really want to work with them more and get them some lab passes to come in on Saturdays, you know. So we've done that a little bit with CASA kid and friend. So I hope that answers.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, well, it's 7:50, a little bit after now, so with respect to time, maybe we can do the tour. Those of y'all that have to leave, feel free to take off. But yeah, if we could kind of get that going now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect.